morning, everybody. Welcome to the service for the gathering at Northern Hills, a liberal religious community. To start this morning with the words that Sue Cline, our speaker, chose. Go into the arts. I am not kidding. The arts are not a way to make a living. They are a very human way of making life more bearable. Practicing an art, no matter how well or how badly, is a way to make your soul grow, for heaven's sake. Sing in the shower, dance to the radio, tell stories, write a poem to a friend, even a lousy poem. Do it as well as you possibly can. You will get an enormous reward. You will have created something. That's by Kurt Vonnegut. Welcome to everyone to our Zoom service. I'm MJ Pearson, and I'm the service leader this morning. And I have just a few announcements I wanted to go over in our service. They were in the email that we sent, but I often wonder how many people open that up. So first of all, I want to remind you that the book club is still going on, that we had at our last board meeting and then some discussions in between talk about whether we will be starting services up in the summer or in the fall. And right now we're thinking more towards the fall, hopefully September, to have in-person services. And we had some interesting discussion before service began with Alan and Michael about our new sound system and new video conferencing opportunities, so that some people who might not still feel comfortable being in person can still do the Zoom thing and be there on Sundays anyway. So we are making plans, but science says probably in the fall. Also, the Common Read is starting up, and there's a lot of interest in that in the whole district with UU Council, and so they will be doing more on that. And then last but not least, there was a very nice write-up on W.G. Carter and Beulah Carter in our announcements about the Carter Fund and such. So if you have a chance to read that over and think about our friend Leslie, who's gone, we remember him and his family so well. The other thing you might pay attention to during the next couple of weeks is in the news. There's a lot about the housing initiative that we talked about when we had our speaker from Mark. And I hope that you'll pay attention to that. And if you live in Cincinnati, get out and vote. They're open early voting. And it's an important thing to start to have the funds to help with housing that's supportive housing and economical housing for people. There's a real shortage for low-income housing in our city, and we really need to do things to try to help that. So pay attention, get out there and vote. And I think that's all the announcements that I have. And our next thing is that Michael is going to lead us with the lighting the chalice.
Well, I don't know if anyone has an actual chalice to light, but we can just light our symbolic chalice as I sing. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
And Michael is our opening music, which is called Change from Emma's Revolution.
Yeah, this is a song that I did with I did this with my friend who has been singing with me lately for church, and she's really excited about when we come back doing live performances at the church. Actually, she's a great singer, so it's been fun to work with her. And I kind of wanted to do this because of the verdict that we had this week regarding the George Floyd murder. So yeah, Change. It's a kind of fun song. Maybe you've heard it before.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need some change. I can't believe it. I need some change that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some change that's real. I need some peace. Don't want the killing. I need some peace that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some peace that's real. I need some power to build my future. I need some power that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some power that's real. I need some hope to keep me going. I need some hope that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some hope that's real. I need some justice. I'm tired of waiting. I need some justice that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some justice that's real. I need some hope that's real. I need some power that's real. I need some peace that's real. I need some change that's real.
Please join if you are willing and able in our unison affirmation. We pledge to create a welcoming
Create a
community that
community.
celebrates human diversity,
Human diversity,
encourages spiritual growth,
encourages
fosters
spiritual growth,
responsiveness to our world, and commits to the
and commits
future
to
of
the
all
future of all
children.
children. It is now time for our message from our oh, no, it isn't. It's time to sing together. Michael's got a hymn, Though I Speak with Bravest Fire.
Oh, that's right. Wow, I almost forgot. 1 second.
That's okay.
I don't usually do that. Sorry. I got it. We're good. Sorry, I would have just let it roll. Yes, please sing with me, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
This is one of my favorites, so
Yeah, me too.
good to get ready to speak to, Susan.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire,
And now our own well-beloved Sue Cline will give the message.
Thank you, MJ, and thank you everyone for being here. I am honored by your presence. This was an opportunity for me to reflect on my life with art. It's been an interesting and worthwhile journey these past few weeks. I realized I could expound at great length about art, my mentor's art, my mentor's mentor's art, my inspiration, my spiritual journey through art, my growing into spirit through art. So please go get another cup of coffee or tea and settle in. In my opinion, there's no hard and fast definition for art. And furthermore, I have little to add to centuries of discussion and debate. My shorthand conclusion is, if it is a creative endeavor and touches my heart, it is art. I had art all around me at home. My father was a self-taught artist who worked as an illustrator for the Pittsburgh Press and the Columbus Dispatch, among others. I don't need to show you these two illustrations, but I can. I am going to be sharing a PowerPoint presentation. You will see blank pages occasionally just so that I can keep it going, but I am going to share my screen. If I can find it. There. Sorry, just a minute. There. So these two illustrations were done by my dad. I'm just proud of what he accomplished in his life. The first is an illustration of the World War II journalist Ernie Pyle that appeared on the cover of the weekend magazine at the Pittsburgh Press. The other is a very spot-on drawing of my grandfather, Erhard Schmidt. My dad's oils and watercolors hung in our home, and he cheerfully completed original portraits of my friends' pets for me to give as gifts. Yeah, I was a little bit spoiled. My home is still graced with several of his original watercolors, acrylics, and oil paintings. Dad was successful in teaching me how to use a circular saw, but not in how to draw and paint. I think it may have had to do with our mutual lack of patience and possibly with my own competitive leanings and the knowledge I could never do what he did. My son, fortunately, inherited Dad's artistic skills, and his illustrations and linoleum and wood prints also graced my home environment. This first illustration was a self-portrait that he did when he was 15 years old, and it's pretty darn good. The linoleum print on the right was a gift to me during this past year. Despite the presence of art in my home, I did not fall in love with art until I was 13 years old. At my request, my mother took me to hear the Cincinnati Symphony. She bought front row seats. The soloist was a cellist. I fell in love that day. I became a proud classical music snob and began my study of the string bass because I wanted to play cello and they already had cellos in the orchestra. Throughout high school, I was a member of the school's orchestra and was a founding member of the Cincinnati Youth Symphony Orchestra, and made a point of celebrating and promoting classical music. Never mind that our school orchestra seldom played music that was very difficult. But I received a lot of attention, which apparently I needed, by celebrating Beethoven's birthday and scoffing at my classmates' excitement about the Beatles. I studied music in college and secretly hoped I would eventually stand on that stage at Music Hall. I did ultimately get my degree in music ed and a graduate degree in music history. First big lesson about life and art. Dreaming without doing the work does not realize the dream. You will never stand on that stage if you don't do the work. And in music, that means practice. I'm still in love with music, although I have seriously expanded my tastes and squelched my snobbery. Of course, I'm 50 years older now, which is time enough to have learned a few things. My elementary and high schools did not offer drawing, painting, or ceramic art classes that I could access, but my love of music spilled over. Actually, I think my snobbery spilled over. Art, good art, and classic books were just so much more important than the trivia that my classmates were interested in. I didn't have a lot of friends. Beyond schooling, I had the opportunity as an adult to live in Europe for almost 4 years. I spent hours in many of Europe's great museums, art institutes, and churches. My interest was drawn to the great objets d'art, the furniture, the ceramic ovens, the ancient jewelry and dinner serving pieces, the inlaid wood, the great sculptures. At the same time, walking and cycling through Europe, I learned the beauty of the sky, the land, the trees, the vistas. I learned how broad the definition of art is. When I came back to the US, infant son in tow, I was in a new role as mother and homemaker. It was not long until I craved involvement in art again, in particular, three-dimensional ceramic art. I took my entire gift budget for about 3 years and began to take lessons in pottery, which of course meant everything I made had to become a gift. Not the best way to undertake a new art form. I saved way too many awful pots and am embarrassed to admit that I actually gave them as gifts. Okay. Pottery was my second love affair, and I've been faithful, although it has been part-time. My early work was pretty awful, and I was frustrated to the point of despair more than once. As I met more potters and developed some experience through community lessons and workshops, I was fortunate to meet a few individuals who taught and encouraged me. One, a trusted friend and a mentor in Blue Hill, Maine, did more for me in my initial meeting with him more than 30 years ago than I could repay. Mark Bell treated me as a peer and professional from the day I confessed that I made wonky pots. He has regularly spent time teaching me about techniques. We have discussed techniques, form, pricing, and many of those philosophical and aesthetic subjects that one would pay $400 a credit hour to learn at university. I saved my pennies all year to be able to bring one of his pieces home with me on our annual vacation. Mark's patron and mentor, in turn, was Brother Thomas Besançon, a Benedictine monk who made beauties like these. Each of these is more than 2 feet tall. Brother Thomas died in 2007. His works regularly sell for upwards of $20,000 each. I'm still back here dreaming, but also doing the work, although still part-time. I'm going to show you some of my usual work completed over several years, including a recent UU chalice and also my COVID project, a set of dishes for home. The chalice is also on the front of our program today. My COVID project, I set out to do something I had wanted to do. And since nobody was looking at or buying anything, it was time to work for a home. I make mostly functional work and, cups and dishes and all that kind of stuff. Someone at GNH is the owner of this whiskey or sake sipping set, having purchased it at the last auction, and I am very grateful for that. I also make decorative work. The vase in the middle is one I'm particularly proud of. The other two are funerary urns that I have been asked to make, and it is always an honor to make something like that memorializes a loved one. I also like to make work for nature. On the left is just a planter that I made for some succulents or anything that you want to stick in it. It's about 2 feet tall, and I really do kind of like it. The other birdhouse is occupied at the moment of this photograph with the chickadee family. Every year, I'm never quite sure who's going to move in, but I'm happy to have it. Sometimes I slip over into more whimsical themes. The flying wild boar at the right is an homage to my flying pigs, which I also make. The frog is affectionately named Taco Mouth by one of my friends. And the others are basically garden ornaments or just little sculptures to be silly with. I've been faithful to my love of music too. I love to sing, although Michael may not appreciate my croaks and squeaks in the choir. I love to hear beautiful music, whether classical or folk, or freedom songs or gospel. But when I make pots, I create in silence. Making pottery is meditative and it is intentional. Many people can listen to books or music while they create, but for me, it is a distraction. While once I was determined to make a lot of inventory with the vain hope of supplementing my government retirement income with income from selling my pottery. In recent time, I've begun to approach every awkward lump of clay with a prayer or an intention to focus on quality, to take my time, to make the best cup or bowl or vase I can make, and to carry an intention for someone else, to spin it into the universe, as it were. Making pottery has become part of my spiritual practice. This does not please my accountant, but it pleases me. I've dipped my toe in the pool of sculpture a little bit and have found it meaningful, but quite difficult. I have attempted to make sculptures of social or political commentary with awkward results. A recent creation is this not too subtle commentary on humanity titled Earth Begets Community Begets Light. That's about 2.5 feet tall. This obviously needed some refinement. I have a couple of ideas for other pieces, but these will need quite a bit of thought and skill to bring to life. I'm still working on those. I look for inspiration to nature. Face it, if you can't find inspiration in nature, you might be dead. To music, good people, kindness, people who overcome personal and systemic obstacles, injustice and justice, travel and history. In about 1985, I fell in love again, hard, consuming love. I had traveled to a beautiful national park and participated in an early morning ranger-led bird walk. I fell in love with birds. Just as I came out late in life, I realized late in life how doggone beautiful this world, this creation is. I enjoy photography, although I don't consider myself a photographer. Photographs are often art, but mine are usually wonderful prompts to my memory and are but a reflection of the capital A art that nature has already created. These are nice photos. They're nothing compared to the original. The upper left is the Grand Prismatic Spring at Yellowstone National Park. Below that is a monarch butterfly caterpillar. To its right, a lovely fall scene in Maine. And the large photo is a sunrise also in Maine. It's beautiful, but you had to be there. I do have many photos in my home. Mostly they crowd my computer's hard drive. I don't photograph birds because I prefer to observe them, appreciate their diversity and beauty, wonder at them, just wonder. This is true for much of nature, be it birds and other animals, the change of seasons, the snow on a fence in winter or on April 21st, or the wonders of places like the Grand Canyon. Nature is art, and it inspires art, all kinds of art. Me, I'm still trying to develop a glaze that matches the beauty of a Carolina wren. But it will never be as beautiful as a Carolina wren. So how has art added meaning to my life? I think it boils down to connections and beauty and nature. I rarely purchase art from someone with whom I have not conversed. It makes a difference. I have a beautiful piece of Johannes Björner's art in my home, and I have gifted a few of Sue Sale's smaller quilt pieces to members of my family and others. People who have treated my meager efforts with interest and respect, who have made a connection with me, are those from whom I buy. I'm grateful for their respect, just as I'm grateful for those who respect my art or choose to purchase it. Art has helped me on my journey to become a better, more compassionate person. Art, the practice of art, leads me toward mindfulness. It is a meditation of sorts. Art takes on more meaning, and life takes on more meaning. And this is what I've learned from art, and especially from preparing this message. 1, don't let go of your dreams, but be prepared to do the work. 2, art is essential, no matter how you experience it. It grows your soul, as Kurt Vonnegut says. Amanda Gordon notes that, quote, the state of the world is directly tied to the state of its art. After all, it is creatives who help bring vision to change before it comes, who craft language for our dreams that are still unnamed, end quote. Number 3, if art makes you a better person, then you are changing the world. Number 4, does it touch your heart? Does it express what's in your heart? It's art. I have a story I would like to share in closing. One of my potter friends, Stephen Branfman, is a wonderful maker of raku-fired work. Raku is a firing process wherein pots are brought to temperature in a kiln, then removed red hot and immersed in some combustible material, which in turn smokes the work. Stephen is also a ceramics teacher in the Boston area. In 2005, Stephen's 23-year-old son, Jared, also a promising pottery artist, succumbed to cancer. A week after Jared's death, Stephen went into his studio and made a Japanese-style tea bowl, a shawan. Every day for a year, Stephen made a shawan. It was his private Kaddish in honor of Jared's memory. The Jewish faith includes a ritual prayer, the mourner's Kaddish, that families pray every day for a year after the death of a loved one. And Stephen and his wife and other son also prayed the Kaddish daily. Those 365 shawans sat naked on a shelf in his studio until he felt it was time to glaze and fire them 10 years later. With great reverence, Stephen glazed and fired 7 shawans each week. With the encouragement of his rabbi and friends, he eventually created an exhibition of these 365 shawans, along with some of Jared's last works. He spoke at the opening reception, and later, when I was fortunate to see the exhibit, he spoke to me of Jared, of his own faith, and of his hope and determination for a cure for cancer. I have never been so moved by any art as by Stephen's Kaddish for his son. Jared's spirit joined with Stephen's grief and love in that room. The room was alive. This shawan pulses with love and faith and spirit. Fortunately, it's the one that I own. Stephen subsequently decided to sell all but a few of his shawans, and every penny at $350 each has gone to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute at the University of Massachusetts Hospital. This is what art means. Art pulses with love and faith and spirit. Art grows the soul. Art is essential. I thank you for listening and looking. As I said, I'm grateful for this opportunity and I appreciate your regard. I am honored with your presence. If anyone has some questions or comments, I'm happy to take them. I know this ran a bit long, so, but I'm happy to take any comments, and I will also stick around after the service. And I will take these readers off.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, MJ.
I just want to say it was just such a joy to see your work, Sue. I've never really seen much of it, like, believe it or not. It was kind of surprising, but it was just great. It was great to see it. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Michael. I'm not very good at self-promotion.
Me either. I get it.
I do have a studio at the Pendleton Art Center, which is open on the last Friday of every month from 5 to 9 p.m. It's called Final Friday. You're all welcome to come down for something to do on that Friday night, which is coming up this week, or just to give me a call. I can meet somebody there just for a tour anytime.
Cool.
Since I'm retired.
Awesome.
As you
Great.
were talking, I was thinking about all of the art in my house from all of the people that were members of GNH or the Northern Hills before the gathering. And there's at least 8 people that I remember daily by looking at their art. Nancy Rohr's over my fireplace, and Paul Miles's pictures are throughout the house, and just Ruth Ralston, lots of places in the house with her woodcuts, and your pottery's in the cabinet. It's just really nice to know that those memories are attached to those art pieces, which is why they're important to me.
That's kind of my attitude as well. This Shawan is really a source of comfort and beauty to me. And I have worked by many of my potter friends here, and we have a lot of artists at GNH, and art is essential, especially to a civilized society. So it's really nice to be surrounded by creative people.
It is. Art should be public funded. Sorry.
Amen.
Thank you, Michael. Art should be publicly funded, as it is in Europe.
Yes.
Suzanne has her hand raised.
Go ahead.
I'd like to share this piece of art. I don't know whether you can see it here.
Yep.
This is one of Sue's pots, not one of the earlier ones, one of the later ones, and this was a gift to us. And I just like to say one of the wonderful things about this, I mean, I think it's beautiful, and it sits on our coffee table so that we see it in the morning. It often holds my morning pills while I'm sitting and watching the news. We see it in the evening after dinner. And it's just something that reminds us of her and of beauty all the time. I think I love the idea of functional art. I love bringing art in and having beauty in every day. And I thank you, Sue, for this.
Thank you, Suzanne.
One of the funnier conversations I ever had with Deb Allen had to do with art. And she bought a painting instead of a dishwasher, instead of a washing machine. and I bought a painting instead of a dishwasher. So took a little longer to get both of those appliances, but the paintings were more important. But it is so hard to remember the artists whose work is transitory. And I mean that by the people who create music. It's not there forever. The spoken word is not always there. It may be there in written form, but in spoken form, it is not something that is tangible. And in the SCA, we have this conversation. That's my history club. Cooking is not tangible. It is an art. But what do you have left after you eat? I'll let you fill in the blanks. Because we joke about that, but how do you measure that versus someone whose icon that somebody painted is there for eternity? They're very different kinds of practices, and they're both very, very valid. So I just want to remind people that art is around you in lots of ways and lots of places that are not going to be there to look at every single day, but are still just as important a part of art, if that makes sense.
You're absolutely right. My son regularly sends me pictures of his plated meals. He's quite a foodie, and I love it. You know, I put food on the table and it's good, but his looks good too, at least for a while.
I saw that Betsy had a comment.
Yes, I was just thinking, Sue, something that you could offer the auction besides pieces that you make would be a tour of your studio, and people
Good
could
idea.
see a lot more of your art and also learn how you go through the process of doing it. And I think there would be people who would really be interested in signing up for that.
Well, thank you, Betsy. I actually owe a couple of people at GNH lessons that they paid for a few years ago, and then it got horribly hot in the summer and we never got to it. So I haven't forgotten, and I need to recoup that. I hope this year.
I see that General has, yeah.
Hi, yeah, you forgot, I think, I didn't hear what your studio number is. I think you should tell everyone what your.
Oh, it's the Pendleton Art Center. I'm in Studio 211A, which was the studio of my former teacher who taught many of the potters in Cincinnati. She died about 5 years ago, and the rest of us just decided it was going to continue to be a clay studio. It's mine, but I have 4 other people who rent space and time from me. So it's a really nice place to be.
Did you say 211, Sue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anyone else have a comment? Or we will
Yes,
go ahead
I
and
do.
move on.
Oh, Anne, yeah.
Oh,
I
Ann.
think at a time when so much focus has been on STEM in schools, and I was talking about this with someone the other day, talking about, actually it was Lindsay, about how at the University of Chicago, everybody reads a group called the Great Books. No matter what you are, if you're in STEM or math or whatever it is, you still have this curriculum. And I think about what these young people growing up are losing in their life with not having that access to art. And I think your message today told us so much about how it truly does anchor you to life, and what it does there. And I think somehow we need to rethink that, but someone needs to help art, help people know what it truly does. And I'm in love with your dishes that you did during COVID, and
Yeah.
some of the other pieces as well, but they are beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. I want to buy a set of those dishes. Those are awesome.
So I'm trying to think about whether I have to get a dishwasher and a stove.
I don't need a new dishwasher, but I think I need a new hobby. That looks awesome.
Thank you. I just, there's a program I listen to on WGUC on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. It's called From the Top. And it highlights, I mean, it brings on young people. These are all junior high and high school kids to play their music. And it is fantastic. And it gives me tremendous hope in the future because we have young people who are doing art. And I would invite anybody to listen to that Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, GUC. It's great.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Going to move on in our service to our getting ready towards our sharing our wealth. But this morning we have a spark, and the spark is about the Unitarian Universalist Council of Greater Cincinnati. And I've asked my good friend Regina Ruggio to speak about the UU Council. I met her through being on the UU Council probably at least 20 years ago. And she's a past president and past other things. And she's currently the treasurer of the organization. But I think she can give a slightly different perspective than the same thing you've always heard from me. So Regine, I appreciate you being here this morning, and I'd like you to go ahead and talk about the UU Council. No, I saw you.
Yeah,
She needs to unmute.
Yeah.
There
Sorry.
you go. She's good. Yep.
So good morning. I'm here to give you a short history on the Unitarian Universalist Council of Greater Cincinnati. The UU Council was formed over 40 years ago, and your own Jim Barry was an integral part of its creation. The council was created so our faith community of Unitarian Universalists could become member judicatories of MARC, the Metropolitan Area Religious Coalition of Cincinnati. Through MARC, we are involved in many social justice projects in the greater Cincinnati area. MARC came into being as a response to some redlining in neighborhoods. As an organization, no monies from either the government or United Way. MARC is independent and is often looked at as, quote, the conscience of city governance. MARC was the religious oversight body for the Cincinnati Police Community Collaborative Agreement. The executive director of MARC sits as a full member on the City of Cincinnati's Mayor's Advisory Board. The UU Council supports MARC financially, earmarking half of each congregation's dues. Our current MARC representative is someone you may know, Carol Womendorf, and in the past, Mary Jean Pearson has also served. The current members of the council are First Unitarian Church of Avondale, Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church in Anderson Township, Hopedale Unitarian Universalist Community in Oxford, St. John's Unitarian Universalist Church in Clifton, Harmony UU Fellowship in Landon, and of course yourselves, the Gathering at Northern Hills. In the early years, the UU Council hosted events for UUs around the city to get together, such as progressive dinners, where each congregation hosted a course of the meal. In 2000, the UU Council hosted a combined worship service at Memorial Hall. It was a citywide morning worship service and reception. All the area churches in the council met to attend the service, and the ministers at the time presented reflection. The auditorium was filled to capacity. The offering that day was given to the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, and the reception following was organized by Jim and Helen Barry from your congregation. In 2004, another joint service was hosted by the council, Celebration 2004. It was in Northern Kentucky. The Reverend Bill Schultz, a past president of the UUA, and at the time, head of Amnesty International, provided the reflection. And we also had a wonderful joint choir perform at that worship service. In 2005, the council hosted the Heartland District's annual meeting at Vernon Manor. The UU Council presented March for Justice on March 4th, 2012, a full-day conference on immigration rights. We had over 250 participants from around the US. Our featured speaker that day was the future UUA president, Susan Frederick Gray, then a minister at a UU church in Phoenix. Members of each congregation coordinated this March for Justice social action event. And this occasion let us partner with other organizations in the city, such as Sue Cline and IJPC, the Interfaith Justice and Peace Coalition. Currently, the UU Council sponsors our Flaming Chalice float at the annual Pride Parade. It's an opportunity for UUs from all congregations to march together, making a much larger presence. We also have a booth at Pride, celebrating our religious traditions and providing information for each member of our congregations. The council in the past has also coordinated the Pride Interfaith Worship Service. Over the years, we have been part of other celebrations like Earth Day, Pagan Pride, Glisten Youth Summit, Juneteenth, Festival of Faith, just to name a few. The UU Council supports UJO, Unitarian Universalist Justice Ohio. UJO is Ohio's social justice advocacy organization, or as the UUA would call it, our state action network. As treasurer and past president of the UU Council, I would like to thank the gathering at Northern Hills for your continued support. And I trust you will see from my little talk today the benefit of supporting the UU Council of Greater Cincinnati. And I hope you will join us for our third joint worship service. Our upcoming citywide celebration will be on March 9th via Zoom as we celebrate UUism in Cincinnati. And thank you for having me speak today.
Thank you, Ray Jane. The service is May 9th.
May 9th.
You said March, but that's okay. We really appreciate you coming and doing this for us this morning. I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry, it is May 9th.
Yes. It is now time for us to have our musical offering. But while we're doing that, if you would make sure that you get out the Givelify app and give your donations or send a check or in other ways, send some funding towards our congregation as you always do, but also a little extra towards the UU Council. We've got some good things in the pipes and we're hoping to have more happen as things go on. Hopefully, as the pandemic ends, we'll be able to get back to our in-person events. But the work of the council is very, very important. And anything that is designated in your offering towards UU Council will go to the UU Council in this offering today. So I will let Michael take it away for our music. And thank you again, Ray Jane, for being here today. Thank you, Michael. That was really cool. It's now the time in our service where we share the ritual of community, the time where we get to express the joys and concerns that we all have and share them with community to help lighten the burdens or enhance the joys. I'm going to go ahead and start before the service. I told people that just before the service, I found out that my dear friend and former fiance, Charlie Butler, passed away last night. And I know nothing about it. I just know it was on Facebook. So I would like you to all please hold me in your hearts, and my sons, he's their godparent. And his partner, Frank, who've been legally married for 10 years. We think about them today. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to share?
MJ, is that the Charlie I know?
No, not my ex-fiance.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. I was like, oh no, what the heck?
No,
So
I'm
bad.
sorry. I should
so
have
bad.
been clearer. I guess there's 2 Charlies in my life, but
Yes, there are.
this
Okay.
this is the guy I went to seminary with, and we've
I'm
provided
so sorry.
his services
so
at
sorry.
church, and
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
thank you. Anyone else? Somebody's got to have good news. I did get my first vaccine. That was good.
Yay. My kids are all doing well for now. Yay.
I'll just say it was a joy to play at the church the other day.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Sue?
I just wanted to note that I ran into Arlene Thorvarth just by chance the other day. And we talked briefly, but Arlene is no longer driving. And she is soon moving to from her longtime home in Clifton to a retirement community, Landfair in College Hill. So I don't know, calls or notes might be appropriate at this time. She has not moved yet and doesn't have a date, but I was glad to see her and get this news, but sorry to hear that she's losing some of her independence.
Anyone else? Okay, I think Michael has a final hymn for us. And
I
then
sure do.
closing words, and we'll stick around for some coffee time afterwards.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves our mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by love, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them gardens instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by love, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll be a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations of old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits, once saints and once weak, where thy ghosts of righteousness stand a people. Oh, come build a land, my people we seek. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
Sue, will you share our closing words?
Closing words from our wonderful inauguration poet, Amanda Gordon. The state of the world is directly tied to the state of its art. After all, it is creatives who help bring vision to change before it comes, who craft language for our dreams that are still unnamed.
Amen. Michael, for the first thing I want to say during coffee hours, it was great to be in the sanctuary and really nice to see the